What's up, everybody? Joe Biden has a student loan forgiveness plan. We need to find out what people think about this. I think that we're going to get a lot of different opinions, but come back on the other side and bring all your passion with you. This is the South Star Classroom. Go. Welcome, everybody. I am Dr. Charles Cole here with one of my best friends, my compadre, my homie, my writing partner, and my co-founder of the South Star Classroom, David Castillo. We are missing our supermodel friend with the growing black hair. He is out doing some important stuff, but he is here with us in spirit, and he will be back next week. So, David, how you doing today, man? You're muted, but it's okay. Let me unmute you. I got you.
Thank you. Doing good. It's hot down here in Southern California. We're experiencing some of that like subtropical moisture that's coming up over the like northern Mexican kind of southern U.S. border area, and it's hot, man. It's humid. The weather's changing. I mean, I don't know about global warming. It's hot, but the climate is definitely changing. Because it wasn't like this when I grew up down here, but I like the hot weather, so I'm not really complaining. I'm just, telling you like it is.
That's what's up, man. Well, I am on the road myself. I am undisclosed location, have some work and stuff to handle, and but how do I sound? I need to grab my headphones in a minute. How does the mic sound?
Sounds good.
Okay. Well, when you doing the rundown, I'll grab my headphones. Okay. I am somebody who's very, very personally invested in this whole student loan stuff, and one of the people that was very, hey, who's the candidate that's going to get rid of student loans? And I remember Biden never saying, he did not say he would get rid of all student loan. That was more of an Elizabeth and Bernie thing. But I do remember when he got the nomination, he said that he would be listening to them around this stuff and seeing where we ended up. But the news is out. There is a plan on the table. I'm going to give you the screen. Can you give us the facts of exactly what happened?
Yeah, so what we're talking about today, and before we dive in, thank you to our listeners. Make sure that you like and share the stream. We'll get into your comments as well, because I think this really impacts everyone, regardless of whether or not you took out student loans, you paid them off, maybe you still have them, or maybe you never took them out. It's a topic of interest for everybody. And so thank you for being here, and share and like the stream. All right, so what we're talking about today is pretty big news nationally, especially as it relates to education. The Biden administration has taken a very big step, unprecedented step, in addressing what looks like a $1.7 trillion student debt crisis that we are facing in this country, right? So 1.7 trillion. And what we know about this particular plan is that if you're an individual who earns less than $125,000 a year, or couples earning less than $250,000 a year, you are eligible for federal student loan debt cancellation of $10,000 if you have any type of federal student loan, okay? Also, if you are a Pell Grant recipient and meet the income requirements, you're also eligible for up to $20,000 in student debt cancellation, right? Determination is based on your adjusted gross income, so they've got to do that analysis. This is only impacts loans and debt that is held by the Department of Education. There's some other detail. That's essentially the gist of it. There's a window. There's nothing that people can do right now, but they're going to be putting out on the website. We'll put the website out in a little bit, but they'll be posting instructions, federal government, and an application that you need to fill out to get the process going. And what they're trying to do is get all these cancellations processed before December 31st, 2022, when when federal student loan payments kick in again, January 1. So they're trying to take care of it now before, this, what do they call it? Like a delay in payments or whatever. There's currently a period where you don't have to pay back a deferment, but they want to take care of this in the next couple of months. So it's going to be a big lift for the government. And that's pretty much the facts of what we have. I mean, we don't have, we could probably try and pull it up, Charles, but I do know that, like we say, Black and Hispanic households, would be, are heavily impacted on this on both sides, right? Both in terms of their ability to have their debt paid down, but also, probably on the other side too, where you're just not quite eligible, or they're eligible, but you got $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 in loans, and $10,000, $20,000 will make some impact, but for many people it's a drop in the bucket. So many sides of this issue.
Yeah, man, I am firmly 6 figures behind. It's like not even close. And we can put out some information so folks can kind of see exactly what those details are and what you need to know. I mean, listen, man, let me also just let me ask you before, and one, I got my headphones in. Does it sound different? Headphones, no headphones. Okay. Headphones, better good, or worse? Okay, cool. Better. So what was your raw reaction when you saw it, David? And do you own any loans?
Yeah, I do. I don't even know. I mean, I went to the University of California at San Diego for my undergrad. Actually, before that, I went to community college, but I was able to pay that off in real time. And then my loans started kicking in for undergrad at UCSD. And then later, San Francisco State for my teaching credential. And ultimately Cal State East Bay for my master's degree in educational leadership. So, I'm California, public school, college, university system all the way. And I have loans. So, and I have to figure out, I'm probably not eligible based on the income cap, but I have loans. Most of them are paid down. And so, my initial thoughts on this is that without I'm reaching for a good word here, it's going to be a shit show, right? Because everybody is coming at it from their own personal situation, and it's also coming at a time of hyper politicization. Like politics right now are just crazy, and so everyone's making from it's a far left welfare giveaway. And then there are people like, you ain't giving away enough. And then, it's everybody in between, right? It's pretty wild. They're like, some of the headlines I've seen are people, criticizing it, mainly Republicans criticizing it as a government giveaway. And I'm like, well, you know what? You actually took out a couple of $1 million in PPP loans that got forgiven by the socialist government of the United States of America. Right. So shut your pie hole.
Or you run a bank. You ran a bank. Yeah. And you got bailed out, and then instead of doing, what crazy, you promised to do, you still gave out bonuses. Or I mean, listen. Socialists want to be. Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. When it suits people, and they don't call it socialism. But at the end of the day, my thoughts on it are, it's going to help some people. It's not going to help enough people. And even for those people that it's going to help, it's still, considering the cost of college, in the last 20 years, it's not going to help enough. So, right. Yeah. And just one more thing. Go ahead. It comes at a very particular time, with these midterms coming up, so it's like it's a good marketing kind of political campaigning clause for Democrats to try and pull some victories out come November. And so at the end of the day, it's politics, and that's really what we're dealing with. And they possibly put together this plan and figured out what's the bare minimum. They're still going to get beat up over it, and this is what we get.
Yeah, man. I think so. One, for everybody watching, drop a comment, drop a like, share, talk to us. Let us know what your raw feelings were on it. And it's okay. We don't all have to agree on this. I want to get back to the days, right? Like there was a time when people didn't agree with us, when they didn't agree with you, you just gave your points and then people shook hands and kept it moving. This is, if you don't agree with me, it doesn't mean you're a bad person. If I don't agree with you, it doesn't mean I'm a bad person. We as a country, we just not able to disagree without it being a nuclear thing every single time. Here's how I want to start this, because if we had done this show right after the announcement came, it'd be a much different show, David. I almost did. I recorded the whole thing and just didn't put it out. So it probably shouldn't ever come out. But I want to start by saying I'm very happy for the people that fall into that under 125K, and that 10K forgiveness is going to wipe things out for them. And I don't know if you were also Pell Grant, which I was Pell Grant too. I don't know if it's the 20K and the 10K together. I don't know if it's both of those. You took it both out. Yeah, I don't know if it's both of those. But I don't know if it comes out to 30K or if it's just defaults to 20K or whatnot. I'm not fully sure. But regardless, for those people that's going to get everything completely wiped out from there, congratulations. I think that's awesome. I think before I get into analysis, let me give you my honest, raw reaction, David. My honest, raw reaction was Republicans hate you anyway. They're going to hate you if you do a bunch or if you do nothing. You're going to be an asshole and the devil regardless. So just cancel it, right? And I'm saying that not because I think we just have a huge credit card, which we do whenever it suits us, whenever we want to increase defense, whenever we want to put our nose in other people's business, like the Ukraine and the Russian conflict. And people can feel how they want about that, right? But my thing is they're going to hate you anyway, so you might as well get rid of the whole thing, because I think that they are trying to reinvigorate the base. I don't know if this by itself reinvigorates the base. Thank you, Derek. Derek said it's 20K total, which even on that, it's like, man, get them people that other 10K. Like, so I understand it. But like, here's the thing though, right? You know my story. I'll just go very personal. I only went to state schools too. I went to Cal State Hayward, which is East Bay. And then I did grad school and all that good stuff. But let's just stay on East Bay, on Hayward. So when I graduated from high school with a 383, mind you, I was remedial everything. So I go to Cal State Hayward, which is on a quarter system, which means there's 4 quarters in a year. You tend to go 3 on, 1 off or whatnot in the summer. And I'm going, and because I'm remedial everything, I'm not taking 12 units or 16 units. I'm taking 20. And so I take 20. I qualify for everything. I qualify for work study. So I take all the grants, and then I have to take all the loans because I have to live. So I take the full work study and I choose the library so I can study. And the library is kind of popping in the university library. I don't know how many people are used to a university library. And this is when you still have microfilm and microfiche. So my job primarily was in the stacks, and professors would need to pull articles. So I would have to go into the microfilm, microfiche, pull it. This is how they get their lessons done. But I also worked as many hours as I could, about 30 hours a week at Bayfair Mall at Shoe Plus. Like I had to take loans. I did both of those jobs, and I took 20 units because I had to finish in the 4 years. And over time, I get these loans, and it was with Sally Mae, and then Sally Mae say, I'm done. I'm not paying for this. They said my loans have been sold more than, I almost said something that was inappropriate for this show. So for me, and people are like, well, you make 125 now. It's like, wait a second. That debt has been so crippling. Like the reason that I don't own a home in California and I left the state that I love and that I came from is because my money just does not stretch in California, even with the salary that I make. And all that is happening is the way in which I had to go back. I went bankrupt before, right? I went bankrupt. You know, bankruptcy knocked out everything but them damn loans. The loans was the thing that I needed knocked out. Those loans have been super debilitating. I'm also, and this is not a complaint session. I'm just trying to build up the context because I'm gonna show you where I'm at now, okay, David? But I needed people to understand because my story is like a lot of people's stories. I'm the only person in my family that went to college. I'm the only person in my family that works that kind of job. I am the financial anchor for a lot of people across a lot of different states and a lot of different places. 125 for me is not the same as 125 with somebody in a family that has financial wealth and literacy and all these different things, right? So people are like, oh, well, you know, I paid my loans and you should be able to. And so I get it. And I also get the other people's arguments. I recognize the people that saying, why should people that didn't go to college have to pay for this? Why are these things happening? But you all said that college was the way to go. You all said that go to college by all means necessary. And here's the thing, because they promised or said, here, you'll probably be able to get your loans forgiven later on. I have only worked jobs that serve the public. Out of college, I was a social worker. From there, I worked with young people. I worked with teachers. I went back to working with young people. And every single job that I've had has been for the public good. And once Obama came and he had the forgiveness stuff, which sounded great, that thing is so almost impossible. It is almost impossible to adhere to those rules. And so here we are. So I personally was disappointed. I personally felt like they didn't go far enough. I personally felt like this is not enough to reinvigorate the base. I think that the Biden administration needs to have more of a selling point other than I'm not Trump. You cannot use that again. Like, I am not excited and rah-rah about this in the way that I should be. And I am the person that you talk about. I worked in the Democratic Party. I've been a lifer in Democrats. I have campaigned and canvassed and done these things. And at this point, you know, so I had my day of reacting, David. And then I just remembered that I'm a black dude and don't nobody really care about your problems. And like I say, we are on our own. So now I've just let it go. You know what I'm saying? It just is what it is. I'm going to defer as long as I can because I can't pay that shit. And it's growing. It is going in the wrong direction. It is just, I pay whatever they tell me to pay. And then the total is higher than it was at the start of the year, man. And so those are my reactions. This stuff is not built for me. But here's the thing that America needs to understand. The days of continuously just sacrificing for a party that don't care about you, that's just coming to an end, man. It is coming to an end for a lot of people. And people can say what they want. And I say this a lot, and I'm going to shut up after this. There's a right answer and a real answer. I know what the right answer is. The right answer is it ain't Trump. He did what he could do. We should be happy with this. We should do this, that, and the third. The real answer is all I keep hearing is nigga, fuck you, and these policies, man. All I keep hearing from, whether it's about marijuana, when I hear Biden talk about how poorly Russia is treating Brittany Griner, but yet and still, I had two parents that was in jail around drugs, and we got a whole bunch of black and brown people in jail for weed right now. How dare you talk about what Russia doing when you ain't freed the people here? Like, there's so much good that could be getting done here, and I'm not mad, I'm not angry, I'm just not disillusioned either about it. So it kind of just is what it is. And after today's show, I'm probably exiting the emotional grasp that this topic had on me. So I know that was very loquacious. I know that was long, David, but I think that my story I think a lot of people understand my story, especially if you live in California and New York, around that 125 and all that stuff, man. It ain't working for me. It doesn't work for me. And it just kind of is what it is. So go ahead, take it away, bro.
Yeah. Thank you for all that. Thank you for the context. And again, like this thing, I saw like a very simple tweet, you know, when a lot of the questioning or concerns or, you know, people's stories were coming out as a result of this particular loan forgiveness plan was that the way people react is really based on their own personal circumstance. And everybody's in their own place and everybody's going to have their own reaction to what we're seeing. I think this we really don't know how much this is going to cost, but these are some preliminary numbers, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you want to talk about, people complaining that this is a socialist bailout when others are like, it's not enough. And I don't, I've done some thinking about it over the last couple of days, and I don't feel like it's enough. There's a bigger piece that we'll talk about next, but this program, if X percent of people take advantage of it at the $10,000 rate, you're looking at about a $300 billion taxpayer cost, right? 300 billion. When you combine all of the different, the PPP program and other, different types of aid that went out under the Trump administration, right? A true socialist president. We're talking about upwards of, I think upwards of $1 trillion, right? PPP alone was 953 billion, right? And all those people got those PPP loans. There was somebody that was just like, well, it wasn't somebody. The White House's official Twitter feed, sent out a couple of roasting tweets. I think to Marjorie Taylor Greene and some other people that took out PPP loans and got them forgiven, and then they want to come around and talk smack about what's essentially not a huge price tag for the student loan forgiveness, calling out the hypocrisy of it all. So I agree with you. I think it's complex. It's not a Biden, Trump, left, right, liberal, Republican thing. It's very complex. So there's not really, one particular way to respond to it. I mean, there is if you want to be simple about it, but here on this show, we like to get into the details, into the weeds, into the nuance. So I think one other piece that, and I do want to say, I also, like you, Charles, we said, I've attended public colleges and universities in California only. But when I was in school, the Pell Grant went a lot further, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, we're talking about Pell Grants and something like, probably when I was attending college, probably covered more than half of my tuition. And now they're saying like it covers basically like 20%, if that, right? And you have to make up that other amount with loans or other grants or scholarships. So the power of government-backed financial aid has probably increased, but what has increased at a greater rate is the cost of attending a government-run public college or public university. Talking specifically here in California, like it's insane. I mean, this is what this makes me think about. Like our state, our government runs the CSU, the UC. They're the California community colleges, right? These are government-run entities, and somehow they've not been able to manage their resources, and the bureaucracy has ballooned, and you see skyrocketing tuition costs. Well, so you end up taking out a grant, but then your loan difference is higher and higher and higher and higher, right? And so the government is now coming in to help to provide relief at the end of the day to borrowers that are attending government-run public colleges and universities. I think, this should be a good wake-up call, but it's probably not going to happen because of the news cycle, and people are going to move on to the next thing so quickly, is like auditing what is happening in our state. I mean, we can talk about any other state. We went to school in California, so we'll talk about that. But like, why are these systems running at such inefficient, why are they running so inefficiently? Why has the cost of tuition skyrocketed, right? Public schools should be free. That includes colleges and universities, right? Another big selling point for the Democrats. Oh, we want to make community college free in California. Great. That's great. But, community college is only a couple of years, right? We've got to tackle what's happening at the UC and the CSU system. And, while this particular loan forgiveness plan will help some people here and now, it's not going to help current high school seniors that are applying to the UCs or CSUs. It's a one-time deal, right? We've got to look at the larger structural issues. This is, I mean, there are some other pieces embedded into this plan, but essentially it's a one-time Band-Aid that is only gonna, help so many people.
Yeah, man. I think, and a lot of people, we're talking about California right now, but also nationally. But in California, there was another thing that a lot of people may not be aware of. You should look up a term called the California Master Plan. Have you ever read the California Master Plan, David?
I've seen different bits and pieces of it.
David, I know it like it's my Bible. It is. Yeah. It was such a beautiful thought and document. Public university education was supposed to be free in California. There was this master plan, and it had all of higher education. So there was the UC and the UC's role. There was the CSUs and the CSU's role. And then there was community college and the community college's role. Community colleges' role was supposed to be certification, get you into the job market, get you there right now. CSU was supposed to be industrial, like, okay, this is like, you're getting a college degree, but this is like how you can go and use it. And UC's was more around research and how to advance the world, right? Like we want to be the world leader in education because we believed in the 60s that education was going to be the new coal mining. They believed that it was that we had to make sure that we had a smart electorate and smart folks. And so college was supposed to be free. It was supposed to be this thing. And if you go and read the California Master Plan, like I said, it's a very ideological yet beautiful document that kind of had this plan laid out, and we've diverted from it. And I'm sure other places have had, similar plans and things of that nature. But, I remember, I believed all that stuff. I remember reading it. I remember reading how important it was. And for me, people say, well, why'd you go to college? I went to college because I had two jailbird ass parents. I went to college because I lived in shelters my whole life, and the one thing that my parents had in common was they didn't have an education. And I knew that, and I felt like if I got an education, this is the trajectory my life would be on. But if I didn't, I really don't know if I'd be here. I don't know if I'd be alive. So people are like, well, you were selfish for going to college when you couldn't afford it. So college should only be for people that can afford it. Who's the elitist now? I thought Obama was the elitist. Y'all said Obama was elitist, right? Like, what is it? There's always a reminder that says, get back in your place, little black dude. Get back in your place, little brown dude, little black girl, little brown girl, whatever the case is. And it ain't even about turning racial or whatever the case is. I'm just giving you the facts. I'm giving you the facts of me being one of the only people from my community that went to college with like a handful of other people that did it, and what was supposed to be the thing that we got coming out of it. And I'm not necessarily poor, but my net worth will never be whatever my net worth is. Take 150 grand or 60 grand or whatever and just take it out, right? Like, I owe more on college loans than I do on my house. How does that happen? Yeah. How does that happen when you said that this was supposed to be and listen, financial literacy was not I did the classes and stuff like that, but financial, like, it wasn't like my parents had like money saved up and this and could send us whatever. So, I mean, look, I'm not trying to, it's not a sob story. It's not a woe is me story. Because at this point, it is what it is. I don't want to say I don't care, but I just don't have the time and capacity to stay there emotionally because it's not going to change anything. It's not going to do anything. The only thing that is leaving me with is Biden, if you want to reinvigorate this base, like we are coming up on midterms, and this is the part that you and I both know, David, from being political wonks and nerds, and Omar as well. The poli-sci, all of us with poli-sci degrees. Midterms is about to be a bloodbath. And if this was your trump card, if this was your joker, you feel me? If this was like your trip teams, right? This ain't it. Like, I don't know if this is going to be enough to get those people out in the streets to kind of represent. And it's not that people are going to go and vote Republican. It's that Democrats are just not going to go out the house and vote. And I think that if this was your last ditch effort, from a strategic level, I don't know if that's going to be enough, fam. I just don't know. I know that the Democrat surrogates, we probably got a few that's in here, and I got love for you. I ain't got no hate for you. We can chat it up. I've been that guy, right? Like, it is what it is. I'm not saying I'm a Republican either. I'm not. You know what I'm saying? I'm just telling you I'm not invigorated by either side of this thing. And you don't just get to keep telling people to wait. You don't just keep telling. I'm so sick of this like Negro spiritual ass mentality of we shall overcome. Not waiting for these cats, you not. And so it kind of is what it is. I mean, we need to do the show on it, but those are my raw, honest emotions about it.
Yeah, and I'm sure you heard this. I mean, I've heard this a lot. Sometimes when I was like signing on the dotted line, the proverbial dotted line for my loans was, financial aid loans are good debt. It's like credit card debt, bad debt. Any other kind of debt is bad, but college loans are good debt. And I was like, it's debt that you incur that then allows you to incur other debt. It's all debt at the end of the day. It just depends who's going to come for you. Is it going to be MasterCard? Is it going to be B of A, or is it going to be the U.S. government, right? But it's still at the end of the day, it's debt that has interest attached to it, right? And so this has me thinking of like our earlier show that we did, was it last week or 2 weeks ago, around financial literacy and the lack thereof in schools. And while I I attended college in the 90s, when I was running the high school in Oakland, I was there for 10 years. And so we had a firsthand seat at supporting our high schoolers at Oakland Unity High as they were about to make a huge decision. 90% of our kids were first generation, many of them from immigrant families. And we were a college prep high school. And so what we did was, we, as early as 9th grade and then 10th and 11th and 12th, scaffolded up through our advisory program, is built out a real college awareness that included financial literacy and understanding loans and the loan packages and helping families break them down into our advisory curriculum, right? And so I got to see how the gaps grew between what public and private schools were charging for tuition versus what remained relatively stagnant was the amount of aid that was available. And for many of our families that we served, now this is going back to like the 2000s. The CSU was a reach financially, but many of our families could pull it off. UC was a further reach, and it required more like research and more scholarships, but it was definitely something that many of our families could pull off. And then we had students that, had their heart or their mindset on a private school like Mills College or Oberlin or something. And we would sit and look at like, this is $40,000. They accepted you. Mills took you. They've accepted your offer, your application. And, they're going to say that we're going to offer you an annual $15,000 scholarship. Do the math. Where are you going to come up with $25,000 a year? It's like, it's ridiculous, right? And some kids took the plunge, and that adds up over 4 years, 5 years if you can't graduate in 4. And at the end of the day, that's real debt. And so I think, again, for me, without getting into the minutia of whether it's 10 or 20,000, I think what this has forced me to think about at a much deeper level are the two things that I said earlier. At least in California, like, how can we fix our broken state college and university system so that tuition costs do not continue to skyrocket? These are public schools. They should be free, all levels. We should figure that out, especially in California with, the surpluses that Gavin Newsom loves to go around and talk about. Boom, there you go. You want to do something good for people in the state, make college free, right? And you can do it. And then the other thing on the other side, in the absence of having access to free college and university, is the need for our high schools, the ones that serve first gen African American Latino families is doubling down on the need to help them understand what they're getting into when our brightest students are able to get accepted to college, and they work hard their whole lives to get into college, helping them to understand what the financial situation is and just being upfront with them about it, and then letting the families make a decision.
Bruh, you just made so many good points, and I think that, like, when you talk about California, and we do brag about a lot of stuff, I think the master plan is one of those things, and like, I want to appreciate Shala's comment. She said, my why for going to college was, 1, to further my education with hopes to become financially successful, and 2, explore life away from my sheltered upbringing. Mine was, I didn't want to die. And let me just say, like, I know somebody's like, man, that's super hyperbole. Like, no. Like, listen, man. The majority, if out of let's say I had 10 friends, 6 of them are dead. Like my friends was, look, the men of my family was in these streets. My friends was in these streets. It's a few of us that did not. And school was the way in which I did. I tried to play. I played ball. I had a few basketball scholarships, but they was partial. I knew I had this knee injury, right? Like, so I didn't go for that. And, then it was like, well, if you do this and you become a good member of society, we'll have, these programs came along, right? That's under the Obama thing. I'm like, okay, cool. Maybe I got some action. I have only worked for a community. I ain't never worked at a tech company. I ain't never worked to just go and get rich or whatnot, right? 3-4 degrees later, right? You feel me? Like, I think that, like, so it's very difficult. And again, we're not gonna cry for spilled milk. You can't have a degree back. You're not gonna come back and get it. Like, I'm using that thing. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's just a piece of paper, I use that key all the time. You know what I mean? I think it just is what it is. I'm gonna utilize my deferment rules. I'm gonna try to see what can happen. But ain't no way in hell I can pay that bread back unless I just happen to just hit it. If the South Star Classroom and 8 Black Hands and books that I write, if that shit just blow up and Holly and Spike Lee say, let's do that movie you've been talking about, Charles, then yeah, it'll get paid back then. But other than that, man, I ain't got it. That's a financial hardship, and it just is what it is. But I've been making it. I'm gonna keep making it, and I think that, like, we just have to determine what our values are. And for the people that want to lecture and say, well, didn't nobody else tell you to take them loans? Didn't nobody else do this? That's not fair to people that didn't go to college. And I actually, listen, I get it. I actually get it. I'm not mad at people that didn't go to college, that chose not to because they couldn't afford it, and feel some way about this. I want to just be like, I can empathize. And you take the comment down so people can see you real quick, because I think this is important. I think it's important for people to hear that. But don't hit me with that bullshit when we bailed out the auto industry, when we bailed out the banks, like that, like. My parents were victims of the housing market crisis, right? Like, when they was getting these things, they got, how it go. We had the great Negro migration from Oakland in the 2000s. We moved to Stockton. A whole bunch of Black people moved to Antioch, Pittsburgh, Stockton, Tracy, right? A young Black person comes to them, yo, you can get this house. You sure? They didn't know what an ARM was. They didn't know what an adjustable rate mortgage was. But it's okay, because my parents followed God and their faith, and they got this house. And then that mortgage went from $1,000 to $4,000, and they couldn't do it. But the government didn't bail those people out. The government bailed out the banks. The government bailed out the banks, the same banks that took that bread and gave bonuses, the same banks that was too big to fail. You keep talking about the middle class, and I hate that they only talk about the middle class, because they just be like, F these poor people, whatever. But you keep talking about the middle class. It is difficult for Black people, brown people, folks that historically, man, it is hard to crack into that place and stay in that place when you don't have that financial, like, just foundation to kind of go on. It's very different for a family whose net worth is $1 million, $500,000, who own a home, who own multiple homes, to be like, yeah, this college thing, do it, we got you, or whatever, take a gap year. It's different because they got a net. I am the net. I am the net. So, but then you'll get mad if somebody go do something for some bread. Well, why are you selling? Bro, you know how much free shit I do, David? How much free writing I do? How much free speaking I do? You know how criticized I got when I released that book for sale? That one book. Out of all the stuff I write, I got one book for sale. And I got one more coming. But one book, I'm about to give away some more free stuff. And I just think that, what is the message that you're trying to give to people? But again, this has just been an event session. It's been a very personal piece for me, and I appreciate you, David. It is just it's just doubling down on what this country has always told me and who I am and what I see and what they see in my eyes. I'm not worthy of those things. Like, and if well, nigga, stop complaining. You in this country, you ain't in Africa, you ain't in the Caribbean, you here, take advantage of it. Like, it's so many crazy things that we hear. And then people be like, well, Charles, why you don't talk to nobody? Why you so distant? Man, listen, I have to look out for me. And black people and brown people, I am talking directly in the camera to you. We keep saving this country. And I love this country. I don't want to see nothing bad happen to it. But don't come knocking on this door. Don't call me ungrateful. Don't say a whole bunch of stuff to me when I start to look out for me and mine first. Because I've made those sacrifices. You keep asking me to sacrifice. You keep saying, wait. We ain't got time to wait no more, man. I'm not waiting no more. Democrat be damned. Republican be damned. I am the party of black people, brown people, and the people I love at this point. And you can do with that what you will. It is what it is. And I don't want to hear nothing when I got to charge for some things, because it's rough out here in these streets. Let me drink my wine. Go ahead, David.
Yeah.
I should have drank the bottle before we started, because I would have been even more honest.
I heard something today. Some talking head was talking about, this loan forgiveness plan and how it was a big move and an unprecedented move to help enable disenfranchised, low-income communities, people that have college loans, to start building generational wealth for their children, right? I was like, I don't think $10,000 or $20,000 wiping out that amount. I mean, that's like offensive, right? And they actually said that. It was I forget who it was, but it was during the White House daily press briefing today, saying that this program was a big move and a big step towards ensuring that all Americans can have access to the opportunity to build generational wealth for their children, right? Like so many others have historically enjoyed. And I'm like, I don't see it. I mean, it's sure, $10,000, $20,000, that's a lot of money, but it's not going to transform anybody's ability to be able to, really get ahead and to be able to really save for the next generation. But that's the talking point. And I think, it's a political talking point. I too, similar to you, Charles, my parents, my parents supported me. They instilled particular values in me based on the moves that they made. They were both, my parents were both farm workers. And my father eventually went on to get his GED, but at the time when they were in school, they both dropped out at middle school because they had to go and help the family from South Texas, go on tour, all the way from picking cherries in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan to picking oranges in Florida to picking tomatoes in Louisiana and cotton in Texas and everything, man. I mean, they were migrant farm workers, dirt poor, right? And in my family, within one generation, as a result of different opportunities, college being one of them, we were able to transform, but it comes at a cost. And I have college debt, like you do, and so do several of my brothers and sisters, and that's something that we carry with us. So I think there's that. There's also like we've got to figure out a way to help, because this particular program, again, like it's not going to help kids that are in college today. It's not going to help high school seniors that are starting their senior year or that started their first year in college, it's not going to help them. It's a one-time patch, but it doesn't solve the bigger issue of how we can ensure that low-income, Black and brown young people can have access to opportunity that's been so far away from us for so long. Some of us made it through, but to say that this program is going to solve that issue or it's a big move, it's offensive, man. And then I just think, they're going for votes. This is what they got for the midterms. They're going to play this card out, and they're going to lose flat out. They're going to lose, man.
And like we said,
because people aren't stupid. People are not stupid, right?
They're not dumb.
Like, what does it mean for me? Not much, not enough. It doesn't mean anything for me,
They're not dumb. And I would just say, man, like, again, if this helps you in yours, hey, man, congratulations. There's no hate in my heart for it. Like, I want you to get it, and I want you to flourish, man. I truly do. You better in this country. You better take it and do what you need to do. You can't keep expecting people to engage with you at the level that you are asking them to when you just continuously don't show up for them, man. And this is why some of them Trump people are so fervent over Trump. Yeah, a lot of them are racist. I don't want to skate over that, but also dude kind of plays to his base in a different way. And I think that, if you're trying to play to the base, which you should, you got to be a bit more bold. And I think it could have been bolder. I think it could have. They're going to hate you regardless, man. But has to be the Dems have to have a better play at this point than I'm not Trump. That shit is done. We saying this right now as Ron DeSantis is he is like suspending school board members and doctors and all this stuff. He is becoming Gestapo in Florida, and he is gearing up. He is gearing up to run for president. He is feeding his base, even on some of the stuff that is constitutionally illegal, right?
I don't know, man. You don't make me defend DeSantis on this show, man. Come on.
I got you. I get what you're saying. My thing is, but what he is doing is, even if DeSantis is playing a different game, Republicans are playing a different game. He is playing a game of, I might get defeated in court about this. I might lose if it goes to the Supreme Court. Yeah. But I'm making these statements for my base. My base cares about this stuff. They don't want certain things taught in schools, so I'm gonna suspend that person, right? And I think that's the thing. It's people want to see Biden fight for them, and they want to feel like they're being fought for, and not listen, man. These cats wore kente cloth a few years ago, man. Nancy Pelosi,
oh my God,
and them put on kente cloth, fam.
And they took a knee. They took a knee, right?
Yes. Come on, man. Come on, man. Listen, y'all, you are on your own, B. Listen, man.
So I don't want to.
You're old.
I don't want to play this partisan game, but there are, it's amazing how certain people can get away with saying certain things, and it's important that people are checked from time to time. So I'll just pull from a few, and they're basically saying all the same thing. The Republican representatives and senators that are bashing this as a welfare giveaway that is offensive to the hardworking ranchers and small business owners of America, people that work hard every day, whatever. So we've got Representative Vern Buchanan, who's going off about this. This guy is taken out and had $2.3 million PPP loan forgiven.
Oh, these Republicans is wild.
We've got Mike Kelly from Pennsylvania saying asking plumbers and carpenters to pay off the loans of Wall Street advisors and lawyers isn't just unfair, it's also bad policy. He had $1 million of PPP loans forgiven. Thank you, socialism. Representative Matt Gaetz, talking about it too. He had this guy. We're not going to talk about him. He had $500,000 in PPP loans. Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yo, Matt Gaetz has the weirdest face in the world to me. I'm sorry.
Man, that guy is crazy.
His face is weird, but go ahead.
It is, man. Something happened to him when he was a child. Marjorie Taylor Greene, $200,000 in PPP loans forgiven. So all these people coming out saying it's a welfare giveaway. They weren't calling it socialism when the Trump PPP program came around with very little requirements, very loose restrictions. You basically applied, you got the money, it got forgiven. So again, certain people love government bailouts when it benefits them. Again, this program in terms of size and scale is way smaller than what we saw under the Trump administration and the PPP program. So, try and make sense of that.
Bruh, and that's what I'm saying. They all wilding. Listen, man. First off, the Democrats and Republic,
they got to do more. Biden's got to do more, man.
They are wilding, and it's the thing, man. Like I learned this early on in my political career is that, man, all these people know each other, man. Like they, you know what I'm saying? They know what it is. Like they all wilding. These Republicans is crazy, yo. Again, everybody's playing a political game. Everything is hyperbolic. Everything is around getting to the next voting cycle. Everything is about winning votes. It's less about actually helping people. It's less about actually rebuilding like a class of people so we can like be flourishing and like living together or whatever the case is, man. And this is the stuff that I mean when I say you're on your own. So yeah, I got my vent session. I got to have this conversation. David got to provide some therapy in the moment, and we got to get it out the system. And then right after this, I'm going right back to work. I'm getting right back on the report that you and I were talking about, David, because ain't nobody coming to save me, bro. And it's fine, and it's all good. But also, you can do what you need to do, but I ain't got to act like I like that bullshit. I ain't got to act like it's helping when it ain't. I ain't got to act like you don't just keep forgetting about me, man, and leaving stuff out. I ain't got to act like, even though I loved Obama, I am mad that there wasn't just something that spoke directly to the Black community. I ain't got to act like that I don't think that Joe Biden is lethargic and I'm worried about his mental well-being. I don't think that he is. I think he is going senile. I'm worried about that man. Like, when are we going to start saying the truth on this thing? I still like him more than I like Trump. But here's the thing, man. I don't think that you have all the wherewithal to govern. And I know it ain't just you governing. I know it's a whole team. When are we going to start to have the real conversations? Because all this shit is political theater. And I deal with real people with real lives that really died, that's really hungry, that's really in these schools, that's really trying to be something, man. You deserve better. You just deserve better. And again, if this works for you, use it and work the hell out of it. I ain't mad at you. Get every penny you can. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? The U.S. national debt. How you trying to make me feel bad about the U.S. national debt? Is that what this is? You want David Castillo and Charles Cole to feel bad about the debt? I didn't tell you to borrow all that shit from China. We didn't tell you to I just don't understand what it is that we're expecting people to do and how we're expecting people to respond to this. But go ahead and roll in the final thoughts, man. Yeah, I got to get back to work, David. We don't have no vacations here, brother.
Yeah, no. So I just put in the chat there for people to look at. This is something from a couple of years ago from the folks at the Education Trust, focusing on student debt and Black borrowers. So it's called the Jim Crow debt. And this is, obviously from years ago. If people want to go look at it, download the full report, they're welcome to. It includes, all the different pieces that you would expect to see. I'm just going to read the findings, right? And so we can think about these findings and compare them to, is a $10,000 loan forgiveness, will it impact any of these findings? The first finding, which we did talk about earlier, is that, student loans are not good debt. There's no such thing as good debt, right? And so, I mean, people can look at the link if they like, but I just saw that and we were just talking about that. The second finding in this study was that income-driven repayment, it's called IDR, plans feel like a lifetime death sentence or debt sentence. So that's those are repayment plans that are tied to your ability to pay them back and your income. There's a particular story here of, let me read this quote. This is Georgia, a borrower. I've worked at a nonprofit for 27 years and have tried to work with my multiple loan servicers to get public service forgiveness. I only get the runaround. I tried the Department of Education, my Congress members. I am 62 years old, and I do not know how I will retire. Georgia, she borrowed $24,000 in 1990, and she owes $125,000 today. Okay? The third finding is that limiting, and this is what we're talking about right now. This is essentially what's happened, limiting student debt cancellation. So what we're experiencing today is a limited student debt cancellation harms Black borrowers the most, okay? And that just kind of throws up in the face of what the talking points are coming out of the Biden administration about how this loan forgiveness program is going to help people to start to build generational wealth. Two very different viewpoints there. Number four, this is the most important, Black borrowers in our study want full debt cancellation, right? And this is from a couple of years ago. So this is in the chat. I think it's helpful now that people have learned more about this particular plan. Go and read this Ed Trust piece. Look at these four findings, and then rethink whether or not you're going to vote for the Democrats in November. No, I'm just kidding. Just think about is this announcement by the Biden administration really all that they're making it to be, or is it window dressing as a political cover to generate talking points and brownie points for votes come November, because this is how things work. So I'll close on that. Charles, what do you got?
I thought that was great. I'm gonna just say the same way the flight attendant tells you at the beginning of every single flight, put your mask on first. Black America, brown America, put your mask on first. I ain't gonna tell you how to vote or whatever. Like I said, I'm not voting Republican at all. I'm just letting you know. And I am gonna start thinking about what my needs are, what my family needs are, and what my survival looks like. There's this invisible team that they want you to keep sacrificing for and keep kind of playing to, or whatever the case is. But your number never gets called. That's crazy, right? That's wild. That's called a hustle. And for people, I know this is a very PC culture, but I was raised in the Bay, and David has been in the Bay. And Oakland is the land of pimps, man. Like the Bay Area is the land of pimps. And I am telling you that this is a pimp line. This is the line that pimps say to prostitutes, to keep them in line. You gotta take the whole team, but you the bottom. You this. I got you. No, you give me all the money and let me give it back to you because you don't know what to do with it. And I see this in education. Mm-hmm. I see this in government. I see this in a bunch of different systems that depend on Black and brown people being ignorant to what is actually happening. Yep. And the first thing that has to happen is you have to start asking the question, what do I and my family and the people I love need to survive and thrive? And then I think you go from there. That which does not serve you shall no longer take priority or precedent over the other parts of your life. Again, so many of my friends are dead. So many of my friends are not here. So I would take the debt again if I had to, because I'm here and I'm responsible for thousands of Black kids and brown kids and kids across Oakland and the Bay Area getting in and through college. And I'm grateful for that. And I've also made a lot of mistakes. But this country was promising me that if I did those things, if I had those receipts, I wouldn't have to worry about it, because that service is worth more than whatever that loan amount is or could be. Well, I appreciate you for telling me those kind words in a moment, because it's what I needed to hear. It's the lie I needed to believe. But I ain't going to be your hoe no more. That's David. I'm Charles. This has been another episode of the South Star Classroom, and we will see you all next week. Have a good one.
Thanks, everybody.